कहाँ है पेमेंट? ये क्या है? हटना यार.
The director has again portrayed so beautifully. He has not only copied a game from such a beautiful and such an instructive World Championship match, but he has also managed to bring about an improvement in this position. Right? So let's watch it first.
Check.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Chess News. This is Shantan Chandra.
And this is Saptarshi Gupta, and today here we are for a very special video. We are presenting the final chess game in the film Chhichhore, the most climactic situation in this movie, which was taken from the 1999 matchup between 1990 matchup between Kasparov and Karpov from the World Championship game number 20. From this, after winning this game, Kasparov had taken his lead to 2 points, and this was a very important match in their World Championship series.
This is very interesting to see because the director Nitesh Tiwari, with his research, didn't just went on with some random game, but then researched with this game and put this game in. And being a film student as a chess player, at the same time, it is very interesting for me to, and a very delightful moment for me. Because we don't often see movies going into such details, but then kudos to him that he chose this game. Okay, without much further ado, let's go on to the game directly.
अन्नी, तू निकल, तेरा मैच है.
So Kasparov started with e4, and this was a very popular choice for him. And e5, yeah, typical Karpov-like response. Without going into much of the intricacies of the opening play, so these are very standard Relopez, and we get the Zaitsev variation from the opening. These are all very standard natural moves, and we just zip through the moves and get to the first very interesting position: d5, d7, rook h3, and f5. Yeah. So here we have a story to tell, and that is this similar move was played by Karpov in his game against Timan from the candidates tournament earlier that year. So he had so Timan had played rook e3, and Karpov went with f4. So after rook e2 in that game, Karpov was better, and I guess he managed to win that game also. But Karpov in his preparations revealed that after rook a3, he believed white was certainly better. So he didn't go for f4 in this position and moved forward with knight f6. Okay, so moving ahead, knight h2, king h8, and this. A very interesting move was b3.
So later Karpov here revealed that b3 was a very psychological pressure on him at that moment, because white was preparing for bishop b2, and the diagonal b2 to h8 was creating a kind of pressure on him. He revealed it later after the game. Go on, Saptarshi.
Exactly, sir. And so c4 was played with, I guess, an objective to maybe sometimes block with c3 if the need would have arisen, so, or just to put the knight on d3. So the main objective was to keep the two bishops under control. But as we would see in the game, that was not the case, and these bishops turned out to be so powerful till the end. It's very instructive and beautiful to see such a game. Okay, so f4, knight e4, knight b5, and rook d3. Now we can see how beautifully white's pieces are coordinated, all lined up against the king side. This bishop is creating such a threat over here. This bishop is placed so beautifully on this diagonal. This rook is creating such a pressure. This pawn is so weak over here. Yeah, the knight is creating so many threats from here to here. The queen is beautifully lined up against this diagonal. This rook may join the party anytime very soon. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
even
as this
and
was
even the
played
knight on
from this point.
even the knight on h2 can come on to g4, and then maybe have a sacrifice on h6, target the h6 pawn.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, all the white pieces are coordinated so well; they're just perfect in this game. Whereas black has this knight, which is potentially not doing very much. This bishop, okay, it's lined up on this very beautiful diagonal, but it's not of good use right now. This rook is equally not very active. So, as Kasparov had mentioned it in his game analysis letter, that all the pieces are so he used to count his attackers, right? So, after his analysis, he disclosed that there were one, two, three, four, five attackers, six, sorry, as against the defenders, which were very meager in number. So, this is how Kasparov came to a conclusion that some fireworks are ready to come, and this is where things started to get very, very heated up. So, moving on with the game, yeah, knight g4. So, as Shantan mentioned, the knight comes, joins the party, and maybe there's some sacrifice coming up, which is exactly what happens. And c3. So, as I had mentioned earlier, this pawn push from c5 to c4 was an attempt to block this bishop at some point of time, but as it turns out, this was very late. Okay, moving a bit back here on rook into h6, there was a very strong move, knight d6. So the queen is under attack, and if if queen move to h5, so rook g5. I cannot give a check on f7 right now, right?
Yeah, so rook g5 removes the queen from the f7 square, removes the attention of the queen from the f7 square.
Yeah, from the f7 square. Now queen into g5 would have been made by knight f7, and like just loses his queen. So after queen d1, which was one of the main points, knight f7. This is very, very interesting to see how all the moves are absolutely forced. Knight h6 with a check. Again, this is a forced move, and rook d1. Suddenly c3, and this bishop is blocked. So black is threatening pawn into knight,
G-
and
yeah.
yeah, and Kasparov found that he would have been in some kind of a trouble if not he had found this move. It's very interesting. Bishop g6, c into b2, and h5. And you cannot stop the mate on h8.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's very beautiful.
So moving back, black could have gone for the sacrifice of the queen. And after queen into e1, rook d6. So there's one more beautiful trick, that is
Bishop into g7. Oh, sorry.
so
Bishop
no.
e4.
Currently, the mate is threatened over h7. So black plays knight d3 to stop the connection of the knight and the queen. Queen h4, king h8, and now bishop g7. The idea being, after queen g4, you have practically no defense left. So there's no rook d7. There's no rook
Because of
d7
queen into
to,
d7.
yeah, to protect the bishop. And so how do you protect this? You cannot actually protect this, and mate is threatened.
Yeah, basically all the pieces are so disconnected that they cannot prevent the mate on g7.
Yeah, exactly. So black must have seen all this, and he played c3. So the main point is you stop this bishop from operating on this diagonal, and try to keep it out of the game. But already white is so active that he finds another way to proceed. So he gives up his bishop. The thing is that you don't have the pawn on h6 at this point of time, and so you have this file open to you, right?
Yeah.
So the king is much more vulnerable, and Kasparov didn't mind giving up this dark squared bishop. So let's see how the game proceeded. Okay, queen h4.
Queen
Queen
g4.
is threatened over, over g7. Another threat maybe to go queen h4. Also, let's not forget that this bishop is operating on such a beautiful diagonal, and f6 may be a threat at any point of time after the king moves to g8. So there's a lot of tactics in the air, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So black moves bishop c8, and this is maybe a maybe in anticipation that somehow the rook can move, and there's a pin along this diagonal. So white moves away from the pin. He gets a check. Okay, rook h6. This is a very very desperate try because you don't have anything left as such. Because after king g8, you go king h2, and now the idea is to play knight g5 followed by queen h7. So if the king was on g1, you cannot move your knight to g5 because of rook into e1 check. So he moved his
Yes.
king to h2.
To h2. So he's now
And
threatening knight
just
g5.
yeah, because the rook is hanging, but it's not with a check, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he moves rook h6, knight h6, g h6, and now a very beautiful move, and that is king h2. So the idea remains the same. Now this is because apparently it may look like after knight f6, yeah, queen e1, king h2, and now white is doing fine, right? Now the threat is rook g8 mate, but the
Yeah.
thing is that after queen e5, black is still in the game. So you are attacking this knight. So sorry. Yeah, you are attacking this knight. You are pinning the rook and the king. So now you don't have king g1 because I'll take knight into f6. There's no potential threat left.
And you also
And
cannot move to g8 mate.
exactly. And suddenly you are in such a huge trouble, and white cannot save himself. Right? So it was very, very essential to move your king up h2.
A prophylactic move from Kasparov.
It's such a nice prophylactic move from Kasparov. So black now went on to play queen e5. That is the idea of um, pinning the rook. But there was another possibility, that is rook a7. After that, knight f6. Again, the queen is under attack. Yeah, queen is under attack. So queen f7, e8. The threat is queen into h6. So since this is pinned, knight f6, it's basically forced. And queen h7, queen h6, knight h7, queen h7.
Very beautiful mate.
It's
Very, very
so
beautiful mate.
interesting and such a beautiful mate over here. So again, Karpov must have anticipated all this earlier, and he chose queen e5, that is to pin the rook. White went ahead with knight g5. So there's yet another pin, and you cannot capture this. The threat is
And
knight
white is
f7.
planning with knight f7.
Yeah, and now that would be probably mate, right? So the only option left with black is queen f6, and now rook e8. Yet another pin. So it's interesting to see how all the pieces, although under attack, cannot be taken. This, this, so this is this is protected, but I'm again threatening things like this, and or I may be threatening knight f7, queen f7, and then queen h6. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
king is
So
in such a bad state. The king is in such a dire state. All the pieces are lined up against the king. Each and every piece of white joins the party, and this is so beautiful to see how the game ends. So that's why maybe Karpov played bishop f5. Now queen h6. Now, this was the point in the game that we have loved so much. This was shown in the movie like no other situation has ever been portrayed.
Check.
After queen into h6, as we have all seen, knight f7 comes with a check, king h7, bishop f5, queen g6, and now one of the most important points, not with respect to the game, but with respect to the movie. That is, Kasparov had in his analysis said that it was a very, very big mistake by him to take bishop into k6 because he was just in a mood to grab all the pieces and just throw them out of the board, right? And it doesn't result in a mate right now. But what appreciation is that after rook into g6, there's no stopping the mate, and this is what the director has again portrayed so beautifully. He has uh, not only copied a game from such a beautiful and such an instructive world championship match, but he has also managed to bring about an improvement in this position, right? So let's watch
Yeah.
it first.
Check. तूने दो मिस्टेक की। एक, तुझे लगा कि मैं पी के आया। दो, तूने कास्परोव की गेम से स्टडी नहीं की, वरना वजीर की सेक्रीफाइस तो मैं शराब पी के भी नहीं करता। चेक।
Yeah. Let's go and watch it first.
And as you have seen, so knight e7 was played in the movie, rook e7, bishop e7, and this is mate. So Kasparov, in his analysis, had said that this was a regret that he missed out on this move, but the result of the game was, of course, unchanged because after let's just go through the game very quickly. a5, bishop e4, knight e5, and rook b2, black resigned. So this was such an instructive, such a powerful game from Kasparov. Hats off to Nitesh Tiwari for showing this game and bringing out the intricacies of the game.
The world champion checks his calculations. It's really important to be accurate at a time like this. He has to restrain himself. Clearly, Kasparov's very excited here. One last check. Now the incredible move. Queen takes h6, sacrificing the queen.
Okay, so this video was a tribute to Sushant Singh Rajput, who left us on 14th of June 2020. This was a very instructive game, and if you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you're new to this channel, kindly do subscribe. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye guys.
Okay, bye guys. ঠিক আছে তো